Hey, what's going on, everybody? Joe Menza here, and I was looking through my pile of paper that I haven't used in a while, and I found some Fabriano Studio 11 by 14. It's a 25% cotton paper, and it's one of the first papers that I started working with, and it's actually a pretty good paper. It's very, very, very good paper. I don't really know why I stopped using it, probably to try other papers. But it's a decent paper because it's 25% cotton. So, it's not all wood pulp. So it definitely has its little benefits to it. So for this one, I thought I'd do a quick one. And we're going to take the Hake, this is the medium Hake brush, put some raw Sienna up on top, and we'll try to make a little bit of a sky here. Just some even strokes across the top. Kind of get a feel for how this Fabriano Studio feels. After all this time of having not used it, go ahead and throw a little purple and maybe a little bit of blue in there for the sky. Try to leave some little areas open for light. Maybe a little water down here. Touch up little areas that might be dripping. If you're laying this flat, you don't have to worry about this. If you have it on a vertical, you might want to just kind of touch the brush against little areas that are dripping down. Okay. I went with a little more blue, a little more ultramarine blue. Just get some little color variation in the sky. And really, I'm a blue sky guy. I mean, I don't like to be boring all the time with paintings, but 90% of the time when you look at the sky, it's blue, except maybe around sunset. But we want to be artsy about it, so we'll work with some other colors. Let's see, we'll put a little mountain in here, going with some of this blue. Could be a little stronger. Now use this color blue if your mountain's a little more in the distance. If you're ever driving and you see a mountain that's way far off, you'll notice it does look blue. I'm going to go ahead and throw in some burnt umber here, maybe a little Payne's gray, a little blue on the brush, and put like a foreground type mountain in front of these distant mountains. Put little peaks in there. I'm come in with my plastic palette knife and do a little bit of scraping. Just lightly, you don't want to scratch the paper. If you put enough paint on there, you should just be able to lightly drag the plastic across to make that effect. Okay, let's go ahead and throw some foliage in here. You know, this brush here, for some reason, the bristles are kind of spread apart. Usually they stay together better than this, but I'm going to take advantage of that fact and let it do the work for me for this foliage. Almost kind of looks like grass. I'll intersperse that with some darker indigo. A little raw sienna, a little yellow ochre-ish type color there for some foreground. area. Keep the strokes simple here. Simpler the better. And a little burnt umber. You want to mess with it as little as possible. It's nice to put that stroke in there and just kind of leave it. If you keep painting over and over that spot, especially when it's wet, it will get muddy and it won't look as good as that. You know, if you do it quickly and just leave it alone and let it dry, it'll surprise you. And put a little water down in the bottom there. Little lake sort of leading up to the sandy sort of raw sienna color there. And we'll just put a little land kind of surrounding it. And just dab in some foliage here. Put a little tree right in there. A little evergreen. Now these paints here were very fresh on the palette. They were almost all, fresh from the tube. So they're coming out very dark, which is good and what you want. But you also use a lot more paint. Dabbing a little bit side to side in there. Put another couple of trees on this side. You know, most of the time when I do these evergreens and I have them on each side, I mean to put one closer and push the other one back. And they always almost kind of end up on the same plane. And I just kind of go with it. But in my mind, I want a couple of trees in the back and a couple more prominent trees forward. But for whatever reason, I end up with this, kind of framed off trees on each side of the mountain effect. See, normally I do one mountain but this one here with this foreground mountain, it kind of gives you some extra layers there. You have your sky, then you have the blue distant mountain, then you have the brown mountains, and then you have the grass, and then the sand, and then the water. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 planes, which is what makes the picture interesting. And if I take a pointing brush here and I make, make a few of these trees here so it doesn't look like grass, then it will look like more distant trees. Remember I was saying when I used the brush it looked like grass in the back. But if I put a few little pines in there that you can see the details of, it'll all just look like a row of pines. I get a finer brush here. This is a Famui brush. Remember I reviewed those in another video. They sent me a set. I don't really use though. They kind of sent them to me as a gift because I waited a long time for some other brushes that they had. And these brushes, there was 8 or 9. I think there was 8 brushes in the set. I should probably show them, but all the brushes that they've sent me have actually been pretty good quality. Maybe I'll put a link in the description. If you like using round brushes or pointy brushes, they're decent to have. I like the travel set that they had sent me. Those are nice too. They seem like they're really, committed to making some good brushes. I made a couple little trunks in these trees and then filling in that area while that was still wet. On these evergreens, you can kind of use a bluish color. I guess there's a lot of pine trees around by my house when I drive up and down the street. And some of them are greenish, yellowish, they're bluish, probably just like Christmas trees when you go pick out your tree and there's a, this and that pine or, balsams and this and that. But this is the final product here with the mat on it. I hope you enjoyed this quick one and seeing Fabriano paper again. I'll see you in the next video.